basketball weapon, Metta World Peace, also the founder of RTS Management Group. Join the show, buddy. How are you, mate?
Oh, man, everything is good. Everything is really good, man. How are you doing?
A-okay. I guess I'll start off with this one. How many days did you have a sleep in after you smoked 10 blunts after the Lakers won?
Not many, maybe like a couple hours. Yeah, I had about 2. I feel like but I said 10. Maybe we had 10 collectively.
It was a long day. It was a long day. It was a shared experience.
It was a great day. But the reason is because, like, when you talk about so many things that happen, right? With, social injustice, and then with Kobe passing away, and then with drug reform and all this stuff, is like, I remember back in the days where all my friends was, getting arrested for smoking weed in New York City. So when you get arrested for smoking marijuana, and you say like you're 12 years old, this is real life situations. Some people think it's fairy tale, but it's not. So you're 12 years old, 13 years old. Maybe you're in the street selling dope. Maybe you're smoking marijuana, whatever the case may be, right? So if you're smoking marijuana and you get sent to a juvenile delinquent facility, you get taken out of public school, you're 2 weeks behind on grades. So if you're 2 weeks behind on grades and you don't got parents that can help you, pass tests or can help you, tutors, all this other stuff, you're going to fail that class. You're going to get a red on your report card. It's going to set you back. You're going to get discouraged. Then you're going to get left back. And you're going to be right back in the streets, right? So this is happening all over, right? This is happening to, one would argue just the Black community, but I'm sure it's happening to other ethnicities, skin colors, religions, faiths, and beliefs type of people. I'm sure. But from my lens, from my lens, it's been happening to us. So with that being said, with Kobe passing and with everything is crazy, I just thought, I'm in California, why not have a blunt, to the head?
Mate, I think, I'm from New Zealand. We're a small nation of 5 million, and obviously in the big city smokes over here. Watching what's happening in the world right now, 2020 is going down as a pretty interesting intersection and combination of so many things, just the moment that it feels that humanity's having, the world is having, just at a full macro, it's almost overwhelming, just the combination of, of course that's going to happen, and then and it feels like this kind of snowball of momentum and energy and kind of, I guess, overall probably negativity in many respects. So I'm sure to have a moment of glory and good and something that actually makes you feel good inside to sort of redirect a bit more positivity. I'm sure, especially you've seen it and you've been in the mix definitely more than most. In some ways, was it maybe the brightest part of your year so far for 2020? Did it bring back some good vibes for you?
It was really great. I got my Lakers shirt on here. I didn't even realize it was a snake. Oh, that's a mamba snake. I didn't even realize that. I've been so busy. This is crazy. I didn't even notice. But anyway, this is great. I've been so busy. I don't know. It's nothing. But yeah, it was great to see the Lakers win. It was great to see LeBron win. I'm a big fan, and I know a lot of people. I mean, he's not a politician, but he's a leader, for the community. So I know he's like going through a lot himself. And it was good. It was just good vibes. And I just would encourage people, even us being on this call right now, there's no controversy here, right? We just about to talk. We're not even thinking about the outside world. So I would encourage people, what you read in the media is control. Just think about it. If you control media, or if you had your own network, what would you do? I know if I had mine, I would have stuff about the earth, about planets, about stars, right? So you can't, but I don't have my own programming. So it's not that the world is out of control. It's a few people just positioning themselves for power. That's what it is, right? And they're using it on the backs of the people. The people just want to have a good time. I want to go to the beach, smoke some marijuana, go to the forest, look at some deers, and stuff like that, right? I don't want to see another ethnicity fail. I don't want to see another skin color fail. I don't want to see, it's not just blacks that I want to see successful, right? And so don't forget, anybody watching, you are not the reason why this world and whatever's going crazy right now. It's a few people that are just not responsible, and they don't know how. They're very bad leaders. And it's not just one person; it's a few people.
Well, I think where you're getting to there is the, they'd said, if you ever wanted to take over a country, you definitely start with the media. The media controls the messaging. If you control the messaging, you control the narrative, you control the
Right.
headspace, you control the actions. It kind of filters back from there. What I have noticed in, I guess, where power comes and money's associated with is the strategy of how people, I guess, try to seek that power or try to navigate to try and get those things. And I'm sure you know what you're talking about there. There's usually a disconnect between, I guess, the people at the bottom would see in their bubble of what the world is to something sort of greater. What age were you when you realized that these kind of two worlds actually existed? Like in your bubble, was there, you were in a bubble to try and have fun, and then like, where did you actually, what was that moment for you?
That's a good question. So obviously, we're born, everybody knows mama and daddy have sex and you're born. You're a kid, you don't know anything, right?
It was supposed to be a back rub, wasn't it? Was it?
It was supposed to be a back rub. Oh, wow, I got a baby, popped out 9 months later. And I didn't even know who the baby was. That's what happened, right? 18 years later, you find out you're the dad. But with that being said, when we're born, we're as pure as anything, we're as pure as anything. So even if you're poor and you grow up in unfortunate circumstances in the Philippines, you're going to get up out of if you're poor and you live in a shack or something like that, you're going to get up and look forward to seeing your friends, no matter if you don't have shoes. We're just happy as human beings. But then when you put in the politics, when you put that into effect, then that's where things get shaky, because we no longer have the best interest in the humans, right? The humans are put here to, make things better. You're not going to see a dog make a spaceship, right? The humans are put here to make things better, more exciting for the animals, for us together. Mm-hmm. But when you start to add politics to that, it's too many vested interests in other things, and too many agendas and hidden agendas and different things like that, right? So I started to realize that, I grew up in the streets where, gunshots and playing basketball, shots firing, going to the bench. We in Afghanistan in New York City, right? And what happens is you get used to that, right? So it's like, okay, they're shooting today. Let me duck. It's over. Hey, did you see that? Did you see that? We go on with our day. But then that's one issue. Then you get the other issue where the school situation is all messed up. And you're like, oh, wow, I really can't get a job. Oh, wow, I really got to work harder to get ahead. Then when you start to realize that, you start to ask all these questions, right? And then then religion and faith has a lot to do with that, right? You start to, oh, wow, I grew up Baptist, but this is Catholic. Oh, Christians is fighting Muslims. Oh my goodness, what the hell is going on here? Right? This is crazy, right? So as you get older, you're like, oh wow, we really are in a jungle, literally. We just not in the middle of Africa or Australia, right? So with that being said, you just want to, you take all that consideration, and a lot of that's distraction, right? Like I said, we sitting here and we having this great discussion while people positioning for power just going crazy and driving the world insane.
So on that, right, it's an interesting segue. When the players are in the bubble and they had the opportunity to walk, and then I saw the uninterrupted, or the barbershop thing with Obama and Maverick and LeBron talking about this is actually a moment to try and use this for, I guess, bigger than itself, to actually create that sort of momentum. You talked about LeBron before being that leader. How many other players are in a position like his for the state of culture in America and sport in the world to actually bridge that gap between, I guess, the community and either the corporations or the power? Because it feels like there's not that many people who have the kudos. In New Zealand we call it mana, like the respect, the honor, the capabilities to actually be able to do that. Do you feel that that's almost a burden that he has to take for the people, or is it a self-imposed thing that he knows if he doesn't do it, no one will?
Well, he has no choice. He has no choice because of the type of person he is, right? And everyone tries to do different things. It's not always successful. I try to do different things from a leadership standpoint and get people to follow you, right? And follow your messaging, good or bad, right? So the LeBron is in a unique situation because his messaging is really positive, and he's still from the hood. You can still tell he from Akron when he had no shoes on his feet. You can still tell he got that hood in him, but he also has that human nature, that purity inside of him, and he wants the best for everyone. He's also a little bit upset I mean, you think about LeBron, he has Republican friends and Democratic friends. Right now he's leaning towards a Democrat, but LeBron is entrenched in a different world than we are.
Well, his tax bracket definitely would be.
Tax bracket and relationships, right? You can't be in that tax bracket and not have Republican relationships, right?
Well, I remember when Jay-Z first sort of got him in the mix to start with, and I first saw him getting close to him years ago, and I actually wondered then, obviously not that, like, you know, one's athlete, one's music, but that same bridge of being able to shake hands on both sides and navigate those waters, it felt like Jay kind of made that blueprint that it feels was very similar alongside of how LeBron was able to sort of navigate around it on top of it too. So I think, I mean, between Obama and Jay-Z, I'm pretty sure he knows how to play those sides, because I think you're exactly right. Like, you can tell he's still got the hood in him, but then, you know, shit goes off, he can do what he needs to do as well. It's that burden seems kind of heavy to bear. Did you ever feel like you had that any type of weight or pressure for yourself that you had to navigate through?
Well, when I came in
your journey,
when I first came in, it was all about the hood. I know problems that's in the streets. I don't know what's going on in politics too much. I don't even care. Literally, I literally never voted until this year. I literally don't care about a fight between a Republican and a Democrat. I can give two shits. What I care about is my hood. That's it. We struggling. We in the streets. My people is access to guns at an early age, selling dope at an early age, shooting each other. That's my only issue, right? So with that being said, when I got into the league, I was always talking about hood shit. You know, shout out to my people, shout out to the hood, shout out to the ghetto. We don't forget you, although we know people are forgetting you. But even right now, when you look at the Black Lives Matters movement and all that stuff, all these people late to the game. We needed you years ago, but it's okay. We accept it that, you know, Black Lives Matter and non-Black people, Black Lives Matter. We like it. But at the same time, where were you years ago? Everybody, they see us in the hood. They look down on us. Now, I'm a superstar, right? So people they give me the respect. Oh, man, Peach, can I have your autograph? But when they see my boy with his dreads on, it's a different discussion. They walk the other way, right? So for me, you know, it's always been that. You know, this is nothing new. So, you know, with that being said, you know.
No, totally. So in New Zealand, our the indigenous people of New Zealand is called the Māori. It's the tribal sort of cultural ancestors, or the traditional people that were there first. So I'm part Māori, or indigenous, for New Zealand, and we lead out with the haka, which is kind of a ceremonial war dance at the start of rugby matches and sports. New Zealand has this funky thing where there is still a bunch of racism that exists between, I guess, a lot of the white side looking down upon the cultural, the sort of the brown side for New Zealand. But exactly to your point there, which is I think is interesting, is in New Zealand, when the All Blacks play and we sit there with a rugby team, the whole nation is united and we embrace that. They embrace that culture. But then on the Monday morning, it's like, oh no, you poor brown precious shit, stuff you guys, you clogging up the school system, it's going into stuff. And it's that, I said, well, you can't take culture when it's convenient for you to take culture where you feel empowered, but then dismiss it for the rest of the time when it's an inconvenience to your way of life, right? There's something, it's interesting that you almost felt the same way, because do you almost feel like it's kind of cool, not that it's a bandwagon mentality around Black Lives Matter, but you've been saying they've been there for ages. Do you think the marketing's just like, why the shift of now? Not the bandwagon is this probably the wrong way, but you know, your frustration around you've been there the whole time. Like, what's the vibe there? Yeah,
that's the frustration, because like a lot of people are trying to say, oh, if you don't vote for Biden, you're not Black. Oh, if you do this, you're not Black. Like now when you get somebody in power that you don't like, now you want to be like, oh, you're not Black. You know, you're not this. And I'm like, we was going through this in 99. We was going through this in 95.
It's like you're late to the party, buddy.
Yeah, welcome to the party. Y'all was living your nice lives, or whatever the case may be, you know, not wanting to come to Black parties, not letting Black people in certain parties and different things like that. Man, welcome to the party. Get out of here with that, you know, righteous stuff now. So for me personally, you know, I just feel like, you know, although I'm from the streets and all this other craziness, you know, I changed my name World Peace for a reason, right? It's just like, it's kind of crazy. I grew up in this crazy world. In the hood, out the hood, you know, different things like that. And it's a little bit too much. Then you look at, Afghanistan fighting with Pakistan, or Pakistan fighting with this other country, and now you got to think about it. We got a whole new group of young kids that's experiencing not only war, but this culture battle right now, right? So now we got to think about that, right? We got to be, okay, we got to actually be positive influences for these kids instead of just always, worried about economic situations. People don't, even when we were growing up, I don't care if you have $1 billion or 100 billion. We don't care. Keep it, have fun. But when you start to suppress people, that's the problem. It's not about your riches. It's about, your concepts, your political concepts. That's the only issue. We could care less about if we're going to make $100 million. We just want to be happy. Keep your money, keep your politics, but don't oppress, don't suppress. That's where things become a problem.
So do you feel, we're changing the name to Metta World Peace and this idea of, I guess, unification, why can't we all get along, people of one? Fundamentally, that comes alongside the need of power to have that peace, right? So what was your strategy with what you thought the intent was versus the execution against it? Because I'm just wondering, if you say, so go for it.
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that, because with peace comes, people would say, to get peace, you have to bring war. That's not true. To bring peace, you need to start working on balance, right? So balance meaning some group is in power, some group is not. We're not going to get there tomorrow. That's the problem. People think we're going to get the peace tomorrow. We're not going to wake up tomorrow and everything's going to be perfect. It takes time. You got to focus on the balance. People focusing on the wrong things. People focusing on change these things now. Change these things now. You can't change, someone from the hood and make them start to eat salad at these tables with suit and ties overnight. The same way you can't change somebody who's a racist and hate black people overnight. Balance. It takes time, right? And there's no roadmap. There's no roadmap to how we're going to achieve that. It's only we need these laws signed today, right? But then, okay, when this happens, what about outside of politics? Are we trying to reach that balance, so that humans can actually get along, right? But we don't have that type of person or those type of people, in power.
So I just wrote a thing down you were talking about there. Is like, do you feel that you think you can change the world without power? Genuinely, if you were talking about this, but you were saying that the people at the top are the ones that control it, right? They have power because they have influence, they control media, yada, yada, yada. Do you think you can have impact or influence to that level without power?
Well, there's a couple issues there. Let's talk about security. So if you open up the borders, right, you risk people taking advantage of that and just doing bad things in your country because we're separate, right? Also, now if you opened up the borders, right, to people, you're going to get more people like, hey, how you doing? I'm here. I'm in your country, just like having a great time, traveling, driving, no issues, right? But that could get out of control. I get it. I'm not a president. I don't run no country. I'm not a 200 trillionaire. I get it. You need some type of structure. Humans, we do need structure because we're all so special, right? Each one of us are very, very special. Now, I believe that love and happiness, I think, people will get on the same page if they start to have different concepts, different concepts, not influenced by power. Once you put that in, that's like, I walk into a room, I want everyone to listen to me. If someone doesn't listen to me, okay, get him or her out the room. No, it's okay. Let's just collaborate. Everybody's different. So, like, this person's annoying. All right, just listen to it. Okay, good. But we still love each other, right? So they just need to slowly, not overnight, but slowly change their concepts. Concepts is horrendous. And it's been horrendous ever since, they started to put structure and try to control people. So I just think you got to put a little bit more effort, into, building balance.
You were saying before that this was the first state you voted. Why?
Like I said, man, I didn't ask. When you look at 1900s and 1880s, I wasn't born, and people were here, slaves and whipped, and That's not I didn't do that. I don't have to, pick a side. That's you. Y'all got to handle your own issue. But I had to vote this year because it was kind of crazy. So I did vote.
But on that, and the reason I asked is the leader was because I'm wondering, for New Zealanders, when you look at, United States of America, but then visually it seems extremely disconnected, fragmented, potentially most polarizing than anything. You've got what was on the streets of, like, say, in New Zealand, where we grew up, it's not to the same level, but it was, the east side of town was I don't know where I was from, and it was blue, which was sort of Crips. The other side was then Bloods. Bandanas have become politicized. Hats have become politicized. Literally saying one thing has become so insanely divisive. Did you have no choice because your world that you feel you live in now has become just insanely pushed of the exact opposite of what you actually kind of stand for?
Well, I did it because, I did it. I voted this time at the age of 40 because just strictly based off passion, love, and peace and all that stuff. That was the only issue. But I really could care less about voting. It has nothing to do with me, right? Voting is just that's an issue of power. People want power, and you know what? If I gotta beg you to not suppress me, if I gotta beg you to be fair and be nice, yeah, get the hell out of here. I'm not dealing with that. Just be nice. Good Lord, it's easy. Change your policies and concepts and get going. And let's get it going now.
Okay, so if you've got this momentum, say if you're like say with the NBA
I don't pick sides. I mean,
no,
I don't pick hate, but I don't pick sides. I don't care. Like, I'm not into picking sides. Like, oh, I'm on this side. No, I'm on my side. I'm right here. I don't care what anyone else thinks.
If you had the power to make everything happen right now, what would the first thing you'd change in America be?
In America, I would probably put let's see, it's about 300 million people. Let's say 1% or 5% could pay for their own therapy. I would probably multiply the amount of people that need therapy, that should be receiving free therapy, have the option by $50, and then whatever that number is, put a budget to that, because people need it right now. Because you got to think about it. Anytime there is not distraction, but anytime there is what do you call it? Let's say controversy, frustration, depression, all this anxiety. Now, me, I can pay for it. I have anxiety, I have depression. I go get a therapist. I pay for it every single time. Some people can't afford that, so now they talking to each other. And they all going crazy, right? So that needs to be the national message.
Wellness budget.
Therapy, counseling, holistic approaches to short-term healing, right? It's not a lot of money. You talk about all the money. We make money. We got companies, IPO, $100 billion market caps. It's not a lot of money to help out people. Then what I would do is give people, you want to teach people how to become good parents. In my situation, you got a lot of people who don't understand parenting and partnerships with you and your partner. Female, male, female, female, male, male. I don't give a shit. You and your partner. That's that's really important, because with a strong family, you're going to develop strong people, right? So get everything. That would be second. Focus on that. Then third, focus on policies. You want to do a company and you want to make $1 billion, do it. Who cares? Go make $1 billion is great, but don't suppress people. Then I think fourth, and this is bad that I'm putting it fourth, but then you got the environment situation, right? You have the situation where some people don't think we're in climate control chaos right now. It is. It's like it's going crazy. We're taking lots of oil from the earth, putting it up in the air, boom, everything's going crazy. And I think like that's something where we need to agree to disagree. Like we cannot just not have, a decision made. And with that being said, you would need one person to say, okay, this is what we're doing, which is what we don't want, right? We don't want. So with the climate control situation, it has to be some give and take, or there's going to be some problems. Like do some green stuff, put some areas in the world where it's only green, and do some areas in the world where you want to just kill, take the oil, you want to just like, destroy the environment. Okay, do it over there, right? Don't do that over here, right? So that's the issue where I understand why it's a big fight. There's a lot of money involved. Some people think the earth is okay, And Mother Nature's like, okay, y'all want to keep bothering me? I'm going to show y'all what I'm about. People think they're smarter than Mother Nature and smarter than the earth. You know, we live in here, right? So you gotta think that Mother Nature, that she's like, okay, people really don't respect me. You got to believe that, right? So with that being said, you got to have some respect for a home. I mean, like this, she could get us out of here. Have some respect, right? So that's like, I would address that fourth, and got to make a decision. What are we going to do moving forward? Are we going to kill the earth, or are we going to make it better? Let's make the decision now. Taking too long.
What I find interesting about your answer is the first two was actually about the person internally with either headspace and feelings and love to what's on side of them, instead of the second bit, which then dollars come after as the profit. So it's like people before profit, which is refreshing. Which is refreshing. So yeah, no, and so why I said before about the wellness budget in New Zealand, we've got a literally it's a wellness budget that the government put out to help with more free mental health services and all that type of stuff. Because say through COVID in the year of 2020, the long tail, like short term, there's obviously a kind of a shock and or an economic potential hurt, but the long tail of it is actually, it's going to be a lot of mental health challenges that people have going through this for the next little while, which is, you know, it's messing with a lot of people's headspace around, you know, being locked down at home and not being able to have freedom, yada yada yada. New Zealand's obviously in a bit of a different mix, but yeah, I can definitely see that. I was going to ask about your transition out of sport now into business. How much opportunity or lost opportunity did you have taking what you built up from within the game to then leverage after it? Because I know reading a few things about other different players with either people they'd met and connections and stuff to sort of transition to life after the game. Did you have a strategy of what you were trying to build before you finished? And just talk me through that. I'm interested to see your kind of evolution of the headspace to transition from, I guess, player to in the game to outside of it for the remainder of your life.
Yeah, well, my situation is unique. You know, I had like 2 opportunities to sign max deals in the NBA. I kept getting in trouble, so all my deals were mid-level deals. The day I had the brawl, I lost, $6 million that year, about almost $10 million in suspension. So I lost every corporate deal I had within one day, right? So with that being said, I still wanted to do corporate things, but I wasn't able to engage. So I told myself that I'm just going to start my own corporation. So I started 2 corporations, 2 C Corps, shareholders, and all this stuff. And trying to actually raise the price of the shares currently as we speak. That took like maybe 14 years of planning. And now with that being said, to run 2 corporations, you have to build teams. You got to do all that stuff. Well, when you're 23 years old and fresh out the streets, you don't know about that stuff. And people was a little bit hesitant on doing business with me because they didn't know what type of person. So I had to just, go around that person, go to the next. Hey, I'm Ron Artez. I want to do some business. Oh, go around that person. He don't like me. She don't like me. Okay, cool. Just keep going right towards the objective and not being frustrated. Persistence. Right. So with that being said, I wanted to do, be able to have different, services for athletes. We're still start some businesses and different things like that. So when you go to artistmanagementgroup.com, you'll see what we're doing. I got one fund with a partner who's a partner at Guggenheim and Blackstone. We're big height funds. We have a fund called Twist Capital together, and we invest in downside. We invest in companies that have downside protection. It's a $500 million fund. I own 5%. I have another fund with the Zukin Partners, founder Houlihan Lokey, Mr. Zim Zukin. We also is more banking investments, where we do business together there also. We also invested in a couple companies on my website. You can go to the investments and you'll see. Yeah. We're currently, we got the VP of Google's actually an advisor, outside advisor with us. We got a lot of different things that's happening. It's all positive, right? So, with that being said, we're just trying to, make a positive impact and learn different sectors of business and just be positive. If you look at my team, it's very diverse, run by women and men, but for the most part, the core of the team is mostly women. And I don't purposely pick a certain type of gender or ethnicity, but I do want diversity, in the company. When you go to the page, you'll see it. Very, very diverse group.
Yeah. It's interesting. You talked about before, after the Malice incident, which was a moment, in many ways, it feels like you were tarred with a commercial brush, which actually probably blocked a lot of future opportunities. Because if you're in the business side, that's a straight risk. You're like, stuff this, and it's not like it's a the long tail of that. Yes, you probably maybe lost 10, 16 mil of contracts, but
More.
potentially without, let's say 50, but without it. What I'm wondering is the true cost of that, if you got in equities of all these things earlier, could be 10x higher, because the game that you and a lot of other players are get into this tech space, get into equities, investments, funds, the VC game, all that other hustle shit. And those opportunities that come earlier, that 50,000 in Uber 10 years ago would have been ... the 10,000 in, Airbnb.
Yeah.
Is the regret
75 grand 10 years ago on Uber is 370 million.
Oh, jeez. But to that point though, it feels like it's lost opportunity. But then singularly, when you were talking to other players, obviously everyone's rolling around, everyone's got a few dollars in the bank. Was there open communication with the players themselves, talking with each other about how they were managing money, partnering up to collab together, or it was very closed of like, hey, I got my contract, my deal, you do you, I'm gonna do me, all right, cool, next? Like, what was the vibe in terms of financial conversations? Because it doesn't feel like there's collective power of players like it potentially should be.
Yeah, back in the days, nobody was talking about equity unless you had a good business manager. Yes, but other than that, nobody was saying, hey, let's diversify your portfolio. Let's put a little portion in private equity. Let's put a little portion in startups, analyze the potential on startups. Then let's put some in small caps, let's put some in large caps, put some in bonds and real estate. That was not really discussed. And those type of discussions take time. So you got to have an actual roadmap to how you're going to get through to an athlete. Because think about it. Athlete don't know what you're talking about, small cap, large cap, startups. What? I want to go to the party and club and buy bottles of alcohol. Get away from me, right? So it takes time.
I'm going on Snapchat, yeah.
Right, go on Snapchat, something like that. So it just takes time. So now you look at LeBron, investing in Blaze Pizza, different things like that, like Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant with his fund, Andre Iguodala. All these athletes is like investing. It's so cool to see. Right. And actually, the younger athletes are giving more encouragement to the older athletes, because before this wave came, it was Magic Johnson. Herschel Walker did something with supplying chicken at McDonald's. I think Magic Johnson, his empire. We had a couple other people that did some really good things, athletes, but it was a big gap. Then Shaq came. Shaq started doing big business. Jamal Mashburn, car washes. Then you had LeBron, and then LeBron started to bring his people along, educate his people. Agencies sold Clutch Sports for $100 million to UTA. Now you see all these athletes are getting involved, and now you see it's going in reverse. My era is like, oh wow, what are we missing out on, right? So now we kind of backtracking right now, and now we getting involved where the younger athletes they're ahead of us, but things are working out.
What's interesting, I think, about that is as a player, most of them are just a product for a brand or whatever else. But as a platform, when you start owning equity, it changes the whole game. So you're sort of shifting the entire module. Why do you think players aren't collaborating more together for these type of things? It feels like everyone does their own thing.
It's competition. So, when you're a player, the reason, when I was leaving the Rockets, LeBron hit me up. Hey, Metta, why not test? You want to play with me? I'm like, no, I'm going to play against you. I'm not going to play with you. It's competition. But LeBron is different. LeBron sees it from a bigger picture. He's going to win, and he's going to bring people together. And that's ideally how you want to do it. But back in the days when you come from the 80s and the 90s, it's competition. I'm never going to talk to you. I didn't. My best friends, Lamar Odom and Elton Brand, when we play with each other, I've never said hi during the game. Before the game, I don't want to talk to you. After the game, if we lose, I'm definitely not calling you. My best friends, right? But that's where and that was happening throughout the NBA. Imagine if somebody I don't know, I'm never going to call you. I never want to have a lunch with you. But when you look at today's people, LeBron set a good tone on, I'm going to win this game definitely, no matter what you do. You can't stop me, but let's definitely get some lunch. Let's definitely get some dinner. Let's build together. And that's ideally how you be.
It's very different mentality of if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, go together. I think over time, it's become very clear that he's kind of the magnet that's trying to pull along many with him instead of, him trying to be the speedboat and just say, later, bolt, see you later, It's quite interesting. And obviously there's always becomes these, the impact that it feels that he's had in culture and society extends so far out of just commerce, which is interesting too. Do people ask you all the time who's GOAT now, LeBron or MJ?
It's hard to say. Right now is LeBron's time, so we don't want to take away from that, right? We don't want to take away from his time. We also don't want to. There's a lot of things you got to take in consideration. If MJ wasn't retired, MJ dad passed away. MJ retired, he would have 8 rings. MJ would have had 10 rings, right? So there's a lot of things that you want to take into consideration when you talk about the GOAT. But when you talk about LeBron, his stats is way better. You see what I'm saying? LeBron is a killer. You know what I'm saying? LeBron is just like smart. His numbers are insane. So with that being said, he potentially is the GOAT. But then you talk about Bill Russell. Why is he not in the conversation? This guy got 12 rings. This guy is a winner. Yeah. Ultimately, Bill Russell should be the best. And you talk about Wilt Chamberlain. All right, tell me how you're going to stop Wilt. Try it. He can't stop Wilt, right? So it's really hard to say, who's the actual greatest. I mean, Wilt can't. He's not even here to defend himself,
Did you see Shaq's Instagram post the other day of his starting 5? Do you see that? I'll bring it up.
I briefly saw something today. Saw something today.
Allen Iverson, he goes, I don't care what none of y'all say. Ain't nobody beating this team in a 7-game series. AI, Kobe, MJ, LeBron, and of course, Shaq.
And of course, Shaq.
And you think of that lineup and you're like, geez.
I would argue that I'll put a team together. We'll put myself in there, and we'll anybody gonna say I'm the best, But it's
the only one I'd maybe switch is if you got Curry on the outside instead of AI. But the other 4 are pretty gnarly, man. I don't know. I'd like to. Geez, maybe some AI could do it. But so who would your 5 be? Who would your 5 be?
Well, who would your 5 if you let me be in my prime, I'll pick me. I'm not picking no one else. In my prime, I'm not picking not one other person.
Are you and who for? So let's say my team versus your team. My team, and I'm gonna put the house on it. I got AI, Kobe, MJ, LeBron, and Shaq. Who do you have? So you got you, and who's your 4?
I got the defensive player of the year, Ron. That's right before the brawl, not the after. I got the defensive player of the year, Ron Test. I'll pick Michael Jordan. I'll pick.
No, you can't. No, he's my 5. I've already got my 4. He's on my 5.
All right, so Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, and I'll put Wilt at the 4. I'll put Bill at the 5, and then I'll go. Stephen Curry, Stephen Curry at the 1, right? And then I'll go me at the 3. Metta world peace, Ron Test at the 3. But you got to put in parentheses DPO year 2004. That's the only one. All right, and then I'll put at the 2. I'll pick Kobe at the 2. Kobe at the 2.
I got Kobe. He's on my 5.
Okay, I would pick. All right, maybe. No, I'm not gonna pick him. I'll pick. Magic Johnson.
Oh. Okay. How do you think Bill will stack up against Shaq in the post? Bill versus Shaq in the post.
Yeah, I got Wilt and I got Bill Russell. So Shaq don't get 30, but we're gonna be okay.
I'd like to see it play out.
We'll be okay. We'll be all right.
The thing is that at the end of the day, it's GOATs of generations. Your exact point at the start was everyone's in their own lane and they've got different generations, and he's having his moment and he's having his time. Dude, I really appreciate this chat. I know you've got to boost out. You good for time? We got to boost out and go.
Oh no, we're good.
Okay. Just let it know. I know you are a probably busier man than myself. So I'll ask this: when you're on the road, and at the start when you talked about if you were to run the world, what we do, you talk about your headspace first and your family. How are you as a boyfriend, partner, dad, friend through the years on the road and being in the NBA? How have you as a human outside of the game compared to when you were inverse out of the game?
Well, when they throwing lots of money at you, you fucking think you're Superman. So, I started out really, really rough and rocky. You know what I mean? I partied like I don't even know. a lot, like lot. But then, as you get older, you like this, you can't sustain the lifestyle. So, like, I chill out, homie, and get your act together. So that takes time, though. And I was never in a rush. I feel like never be in a rush. Take your time.
Mm.
There's no rush.
What were you like as a partner?
Well, it was a rocky one, buddy. When I was in my prime, it was rocky. I'll tell you that. It wasn't the greatest. Wasn't the greatest.
And headspace, because when you're in your prime, was it because you couldn't balance it? It wasn't prioritized. What was
priority? My priority was partying. That's it. No other objectives, but go out and have a great time every night.
Are you lucky social media wasn't around when you were in your prime?
If social media wasn't around, I didn't care anyway. So I wouldn't have cared if social media was or was not around. But if it was around, it would have been a hell of a show, probably.
Was there ever a time when you and Dennis Rodman were together and you partied in Las Vegas? Who lasted the longest?
No, I never partied with Dennis, but I did spend time with Dennis. I love Dennis, actually. I did spend some time with Dennis on multiple occasions, but never like in a partying scene. He's actually my favorite player, so yeah.
Yeah, interesting. The on the website you had a thing talking about X versus X sports, kind of the connection of sort of players and professional stuff. I'm interested in that. Is that a project that sits underneath the platform? What's the long tail of that? Is that connection to eventual kind of offline collaboration with partners and players or talent? What's that?
Yeah, right now it's hard for players to find opportunities. There's a lot of politics involved. We're just trying to remove all the politics. For example, Metta World Peace retires from NBA. Metta World Peace want to play in Australia. Metta World Peace want to play somewhere. Well, I need an agent. Well, why do I need an agent? I'm good enough, right? I want to play somewhere in the country I want to play at. So now what I'm doing is connecting fans directly to the players. That's the end goal. And I'm going to send players opportunities to play in these micro professional type games. We don't need fans. We don't need all that stuff. The players will be receiving the cash direct, right? So we're working on that. We're steamrolling ahead. LA Times invested. Chairman of Wix invested. The founder of SurveyMonkey and StumbleUpon is a tech company, but it's to provide solutions for players such as myself, and then connect a lot of different types of basketball enthusiasts. So that's what we're doing. Steamrolling ahead. Launching really soon here regionally in the West Coast. Then we're going to expand out to other parts of America, go to Canada, and then go global after that.
So the scalability of that, it's obviously one-to-one servicing after you've got a curated sort of model around it. Right. Where do the other investors see that playing out? Is it a talent grab? Is it to try and lock in more IP? Like what do they see as the value?
There is some patent opportunities. Not right now. We're not focused on any patents right now, but sponsorship, transaction fees is going to be another big one for us. Subscriptions will be another big one for us in the future, and some other near future revenue streams. Then you have the excitement, you have the network capability, you have a network effect. Potentially, we have the opportunity to really grab the curiosity of people who love sports, live sports. So we do have that option. When you look at all the OTT platforms, and Quibi just went out of business, but when you look at all the OTT platforms and all the other marketing and social media channels, you do have an opportunity to create a network, a viral network effect. If that happens, we'll hop on it quick. But right now we're only focused on, using, third-party assets for our players, to accomplish what we want to accomplish. So that's pretty much the plan that we have, moving forward.
How do you, you're obviously a very well-known human. Everyone's obviously trying to get to you for different opportunities. Hey, invest in my rap label and my t-shirt line or whatever the shit is. What's your personal process with how you filter opportunities when people want to take some of your hard-earned money or some of the partners? How do you think about opportunity?
Well, one, I try to just think about things I love and I'm interested in, things I could affect the outcome of success. So, and that takes a team. So when you're a corporation, you're going to have a business analyst, a data analyst, a CEO, CMO, COO, CTO, all this stuff. Now, as an athlete, you don't want to hire that many people. That gets expensive. So you want to make your first investment, I think, like in a CEO type of person, someone that understands your vision, your mission, your goals, your passions, and then analyze, and put together a roadmap on how you're going to get there. And if nothing fits in that thesis, then, I don't want to invest in your company. We're not doing the same thing. Sorry, no. But we do have an accelerator, right? So we have an accelerator program. You go to artistmanagementgroup.com. If you want to be a part of it, sign up. And then, we have a process and it goes through my team. And that's pretty much it. So if someone wanted to do something with us, they would have to go through the accelerator. They would have to be accepted, into the program.
Is it the space that you're mostly looking into? Is it sport tech? Is it is it connection more communities? Is it content driven? Like, what sort of the main pieces that you look to sort of play or invest in?
Well, from a short-term revenue perspective, it's where we can add value or impact the outcome of success. So that could be a lot of different things. It could even be a pizza shop, big pizza chain. They wanted to use our face. We use it. They sell more. We sell it in a couple of years. We affected the outcome of success. So those opportunities, they come in different waves. It could be health. It could be entertainment. It could be insurance company, a new insurtech company or fintech company that's trying to get visibility and awareness. A lot of these startups where we could affect the outcome of success, the founders don't have the marketing capabilities because they only focus on product and operations. And sometimes they only focus on product if you're a CTO or a developer. So with that being said, you come to our accelerator, we see where there's synergy. Now, the number one mission is revenue, right? Then second, the passion is anything that is social impact, mental health driven, sports. That's the core focus of what we do. And then we also look at other things outside of that. There's a lot of big opportunities that presents itself, like I said, because these companies are trying to get awareness and visibility. And that's where the synergy lies.
So obviously partnering with, a lot of the crew that you sort of have coming with the mindset of pro athlete, but not growing up in the world of finance. What's your super skill in terms of crafting and curating these sort of partnerships and deals? Like, where does your sort of, I guess, unique IP sort of sit in making these deals and potential venture opportunities work?
Yeah, I think so. Because how I think about things is a little bit different. I don't have a expertise in certain, analyzing certain businesses, how they should be, but some sectors I'm okay in. So I think building a team, talking about different opportunities. And when you get, 100 opportunities, you learn so much, about all these different businesses. You learn about in-house marketing, in-house operations, how to cut costs when you're working with development, how to cut costs when you're working with other marketing agencies, right? So now when you talk about cutting costs, that is very attractive and appealing to investors or to people that want to partner with you, right? So that's pretty much where our strong point is at, cutting costs on operations and marketing.
So like efficiencies through it. Missing anywhere in the crypto space? You looking into cryptocurrencies at all? You talking with crew doing it? Like, what's your thought on crypto and the future of digital currency?
I like the vision. Crypto is one concept. There's a lot of other concepts out there. With technology, there's not just one concept. It is a leading buzzword, but there are other things you can do. And you could also, if you want to launch a company, just launch it regular. You don't have to be in crypto, right? You don't have to be in blockchain, but you want to be thinking about it, right? You want to be thinking about it because it's the near future. It's the near future, and you don't want to miss the boat. But you don't want to be invested a boatload in somebody's idea that never, you want to strategically get in, and you may never get in. You may never have to get in as an investor or founder or whatever you want to do. But it's very interesting, and you should definitely be aware of it.
You mentioned Quibi just before. I don't know if you looked too much into that at all. Why do you think they failed? They had Meg behind it. They had a shit ton of cash.
Spending too much money is not sustainable. I mean, I understand you wanted to give all the celebrities a lot of cash, to create content, to grab market share from Netflix, Hulu. But I thought they was in a position to be creative. I thought they was in a position not to get excited about the celebrities in LA. I thought they was in a position to really give power to the content creators and give power to the masses. These content creators are one opportunity away from being superstars, right? So I think their business model could have been a little bit different. But with that being said, I'm only talking from the perspective after they have failed, right? So anyone can say woulda, shoulda, coulda, but that's something I would have done different.
I just remember when before they'd even launched, they'd pre-sold their first quarter out or yada, yada, yada. And I'm looking at thinking, like, I like the user experience piece, that makes sense, but then just driving so tough down on essentially Hollywood talent, but for a phone, in a world where everyone that's consuming it, say if you're on the YouTube world or whatever else, there's just a huge talent pool that exists instead of taking those who are already doing the same shit, copy paste, but just for your format. I wondered if there was tension between the talent that they could have got for, I'm not saying it should be let's say it's a social studio and they sign on flipping 1,000 of these young talents and you curate the top one that goes out every day. That might have been cheaper than maybe some of these shows or whatever. It'd be really interesting to talk to some people on the inside with how they saw it sort of stacking up.
I mean, I agree. When I was thinking about it, I thought I was always interested in just meeting the people there and just kind of asking them, what happened? That was a quick turnaround, $1.7 billion raise, and then it's gone. The company's folded.
300 million back or something, right? Like there was only a little bit left.
You said Lyft was in it?
No. I think there was I think the number was about 300 million left, but they just returned it to those initial investors. So they'd already kind of burned through about 85% of it, I guess.
Oh, and then they returned the rest to the investors?
Yeah, and closed it. That's what I think happened. I need to look into it.
I mean, I kind of, if they did return money to the investors, that's amazing. I actually felt bad for them because I felt like, it seemed like it was going to be a good company. And it seemed like it was actually for the content creators, but I felt like they were just giving the money to people that's, they were marking up their prices. They gave a ton of money away to existing producers and talent, but these prices are marked up. Everybody, I heard stories where people was getting lots of money. I'm like, for what? For a 10-minute show? You're getting the same amount you would get for an hour show? So it's like, I think they got caught up in the celebrity too much rather than focusing on the people.
It's interesting, right? Because you could take the same argument, go the other way with Spotify. You give Joe Rogan 100 million, stock goes up 5 billion in one day, and now it's 50% up on the whole entire thing. So in that world, that won, because I guess is that they already had the platform and they got a person which plugged into it instead of having no platform, having all the people, but then not having the community to cross back in. It's quite interesting that, right?
Yeah. I think so. I think it is interesting. I mean, I'm actually happy we're having these discussions. Not every day you get to talk about this type of stuff, to people and publicly. Some people look at me like, oh, that's the guy who fights all the time in the NBA. So, but it's actually really cool to have this discussion.
No, I mean, I always think there's always more to the story, and the reality is, I think sometimes people can get cursed with the moment unfairly.
Yeah.
Whether it might be Isaiah not shaking hands, or you trying to knock some dude out in the stands, or just Tiger Woods with a 7-iron, whatever it is. I said this last week actually to someone. I was like, I can't wait to the year 2050 where whoever the president is going to 100% have dick pics and Snapchats and disgusting screen grabs sent to someone from 3 decades earlier, because everyone will have them because everyone's young and does dumb shit. So hopefully at that point we realize that no one's perfect. Everyone's going to stuff up. Everyone has going to be documented that they've stuffed up. So if everyone's not perfect, then maybe we can just get on with life and treat people a bit more equally. Because I hate this idea of not cancel culture or stuff you for something you did years ago, but everyone's done that. And I think it's sometimes people get the scarlet letter unfairly, and it just doesn't feel, for me, it doesn't feel fair.
Well, nobody's perfect, and I know I'm not, so I never tried to figure out how to satisfy someone, and want them to believe that, hey, I'm perfect. Yeah, I wish I could have been like Tim Duncan or Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, absolutely. But you want to know something? That's just not what it is. And it's okay. It's fine.
Do you, when you look back at who you were then, are you proud of what you became, or are you proud of what you did but not who you were?
Well, that's a good question. I wasn't proud of who I was, but I never wanted to change. I accepted it. You know what I'm saying? I accept the fact that, certain things, if I was privy to certain things, I definitely would have did things a little bit different in a lot of different ways. But, because of my character, growing up, no values, really, no morals, really, at that time, and just don't give a rat's ass about anything, and I'm not trying to impress corporate America. I'm not trying to impress my general manager, my owner, my fans. It was a mindset that was, you could say, toxic, maybe. And you want to know something? When you identify that you're toxic, then you say, okay, I'm a toxic guy. I still love myself, and you'll try to change over time. It's not, and one thing with me, I told myself it was going to take 5-10 years. I was never trying to rush to be, I was never trying to rush to be like a better, I think I say a better person, just a more well-rounded person, so I was never rushing to that point. And when you get there, you get there. It's like, you're flying, you can't go 600 miles an hour. The plane is going 500. That's it, right? You can't push the plane or you're going to crash or engine's going to blow out, right? So just take your time. Take your time.
But there's a difference with that, right? Because I think the point being is if you are at a moment and you are self-aware enough to realize what you're doing, but choose to disregard it to keep doing what you're doing for the result, or still get the result by choosing to be a better person, there's actually a moment, sometimes you're just young and you do dumb stuff. Some other times you know what you're doing and you just don't give a shit, and there's a difference.
Well, with that, it's a lot of kids like that, right? So, when you talk about a kid who is reckless, now, what we do as older and wise women, we have programs, right? Because we know kids are going through a lot. We know parents are separated. We know some people have chemical imbalances. We know some people are frustrated, depressed, and have anxiety, right? So with that being said, even if the kid is, troubled, we're going to support the kid because we want the best for the kid, right? Some kids don't know that they are self-destructive. Self-destruction is built over time. Something happened to you. So now it's collectively we say, okay, we got some self-destructive kids. Let's help them, right? Let's show them. Don't be self-destructive. Be more just productive or whatever you want to say.
Awesome, brother. Hey, look, I know we've gone way over what we were probably supposed to, but I've just really enjoyed the chat, my friend. It's been great. Just like learning and seeing a bit behind.
It was actually really good talking to you. I like talking about lots of things rather than just like sports and defensive player of the year and so I really enjoyed the conversation. That's why I gave you more passion than usual. And, hopefully everybody out there that watch, have a good day. Don't listen to all this nonsense. Just focus on you, your friends, and your family, and then have a good day.
Dude, it's been mega. Joined by Metta World Peace, artistmanagementgroup.com. If you're a startup in the tech space, have a check out. It's quite interesting the worlds that you're sort of playing in now, and it's pretty awesome. So look, after Corona's all dust down and dialed, hopefully things get back on track. But I really appreciate your time, man. And just a little dude from New Zealand saying hi. So I appreciate you having the chat, and it's been some good banter, my friend. Love it.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I think you have a bright future if you continue. And thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Done and dusted. There you go. The man, Metta World Peace, NBA champion, defensive player of the year. The list go on. Very cool chat. Very deceptively deep human being. And that is something that I can relate to and respect very well. Enjoy the rest of the day, team. This has been Robett Live, Dash Talk X, Dash Radio. Adios.